So,
does garner some real respect, doesn't it? When you know you got a wild man on your hands.
Yeah. So let's see if that continues as well. But that is a bit of an indication that even though he hasn't done anything yet, other people know he's at the very least capable. And all right, here we go.
We have an example as Kuhn opens the button with Jack 10 offsuit, and Vladdy flats with 6-4. Vogel likes the price with Jack 9.
6-4 offsuit, Ollie.
Yeah.
We're not even suited here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say this is the beginning of the departures from, okay, here we are.
This is trouble for Vogel. He's got top pair against bottom 2. Vladdy going to double check. And the good fortune is certainly intact for the time being.
All right. Well, so Will Kuhn c-bet here. He does have a hand. I mean, the jack of clubs, the 2 overs to the 9. It's a hand that c-bets some. But again, another passive line being taken in a flat where Vladdy's in. I mean, we do have to
kind of point out that theme that is emerging as we see the ace on the turn, a card that perhaps Kuhn could rep if given the opportunity. Vladdy. That's 25K, and immediately you see Christoph Vogelsang looking over like, yeah? You flatted an ace in the small? Is that what you're telling me?
Strangely small bet. I mean, he's going like 1/5 pot on a board that, I mean, it's not super draw heavy, but there's a decent amount of draws. It is a strangely small bet size. And actually, even though we can see Vogelsang is a big dog, he's actually getting the right price to call, getting 6-1.
And now it is 4s full on the river as the 3rd club shows up. Might that be?
I mean, he's going big, and it's going to be hard for Vogelsang to call here with the 9. Like, I still think he probably folds, but if he calls, I feel like that's special Vladdy consideration.
And you know what? In some ways, this line by Vladdy is emblematic of self-awareness, where he understands that he's the kind of guy that can get paid off. And Vogel did make the call. You see him sliding 200K. Vogel down to 475K, just 32 bigs after that payoff, while Vladdy is up to 2.3 million plus for over 150 bigs. Current second in chips is Peter Eretz, the Belgian. Bubbled event number 2, and here he is making a nice run, and this is trouble for Vladdy as Punsri has 2 aces. The min-raise open, draws a 3-bet from the button of Vladdy.
And Vladdy has shown, I've seen, one of the hands I saw looking at the app yesterday was one where he, basically in this exact same spot, had Queen 4 suited. So he has jacks. He is not folding. He's hoping Punsri actually makes a move here, but yeah, this is kind of just a cooler, and it's not even really a Vladdy special situation. I mean, 15K, we're talking 45 bigs or so. I mean, aces versus jacks in these spots is pretty standard get in. So
200.
In comes the 4-bet. Up we go to 200,000.
Let's see what he thinks about. I mean, I was thinking he would just jam versus a 4-bet, but let's see how he plays it. Maybe he just calls. Yeah, that was what I thought he would do.
Jam comes in. Obviously, we know the snapper is inbound from Punsri. And the cooler is revealed. Here comes the flop.
Wow.
Ace Jack 8, set over set. And now a total stranglehold on this pot for Punsri, who just needs to fade a one-outer. Clean turn. And the river is clean as well as both players fill up. Vladdy with Jack 8. Opens from the hijack. Jack 8 offsuit, of course. I know. Rest. Want to make sure we make these subtle distinctions. Nagy on the button, ace 3. Took a minute.
Well, it just in the sense of it does, you know, Jack 8 suited, I would say, is a reasonable-ish hijack open. Jack 8 offsuit is loose, right? Well, here he's going to hear from Camp Horse for sure.
Yeah, nothing loose about. It's a lot of weight to apply to a Jack 8. But Vladdy is going to make the call, and now we are starting to see not only in terms of his willingness to open the hijack with the Jack 8 offsuit, but then also to flat.
Pleasantly surprised that he's only up against Ace King. Oh my goodness.
He's got top 2. Of course, for the Ace King, the good news is not really a lot working.
Yeah. I mean, he might bet himself as well. Okay, he opts to check, which is very reasonable. Now, it's an interesting spot versus Vladdy. In some ways, I'd like to see him bet small because I think, you know, a overpair probably check raises a bet here, but it'd be nice until you get it all anyway. But like Ace King is drawing semi-dead, like Ace King, Ace Queen, King Queen, these hands. So yeah, Vladdy makes this little bet here because he'd love no pair hands to stay in the pot. And it's definitely a bet he could make with much weaker hands than 2 pair, right? Like that also makes sense with just like a hand like pocket 9s in some way, and it has the desired effect. So
yeah, that sizing does feel really perfect to keep this Ace King engaged.
Yeah.
And now he's got 8s full of jacks.
It's actually a beautiful card for him. Doesn't complete any draws, right? So Ace King like might start to think he's good, right?
Perhaps a check back from Vladdy on the turn. Any point to that?
Well, he agrees with you. Oh,
and a super clean river card.
I mean, not quite an ace or a king, but yeah, very clean. A very clean non-ace or king for Vladdy.
Might Camp Horse come with something defensive?
No, I think
just wants to get the showdown.
He'd love to get to showdown, and he's going to decide versus a bet.
I want to point something out. The speed with which Vladdy reached in there and grabbed what seemed to be kind of an indiscriminate number of chips and put it out there is really in line with the kind of stuff that triggers us to feel like this gunslinger is just blasting right now.
In some ways, I mean, this is actually a call that a solver would agree with more than the 9-7, you know, to me. Like Vogelsang's call is more out of left field than this one. And here we go, another boat. Vladdy with his second boat in like 15 minutes. Here we go. And he's right back up over 2 million. I think with ace-4 off here, you got to just fold it. And a big reason why is that you have a player behind you to act. So, you know, maybe in that exact spot, if you knew Kuhn was folding, it's a little different. You could maybe talk yourself into a call. It's close. But with a player behind you, I think it's a pretty clear fold.
Vladdy with the backdoor nut flush.
Make you feel good.
Deciding that this sort of flop texture favors his range.
Please don't put that on TV. That sounded way too weird.
That 70K lead does get flatted by Kuhn, and now on the turn, a 4-liner on the board. Any 6 would make a straight, and Vladdy has picked up tremendous equity in the form of the nut flush draw and the wheel draw.
Well, this pot's going to get big now. I mean, I don't think you lead the 8-7-5 with ace deuce and hit one of your best cards. I mean, one of the only flush cards that gives you a gutter too, and not keep firing at the pot. And I don't think Kuhn is very happy about that card. That said, I also just don't think he's going to be able to fold yet. Just feel like with 2 jacks and a lot of draws out there, probably call and make river decisions, but it's not comfortable.
Thank you.
Certainly not, especially against a player like Vladdy, who you know is very capable of coming with that overbet on the river. Board does pair on the end, and that's a card actually that I feel Kuhn's going to be very happy with.
Yeah, it's above average card for him, sure, because it counterfeits any 2 pairs, you know, other than a 5, which became a full house. So like the biggest class of hands at this point that he's losing to is a straight, and it's a card he definitely might end up calling if Vladdy bluffs.
Well, TBD whether or not Vladdy will do exactly that here with ace high and 645,000 in the middle.
Yeah, not saying he will call, but I agree with you that it's an above average card for him.
Look at this. 450,000. The bet into 645, and those jacks are feeling the weight now.
I kind of think Kuhn is going to end up calling this. I just think
Did Vladdy need to go bigger?
maybe to get 2 jacks.
Full pot? Full pot plus?
But
I don't know if you caught that there, Kuhn. Staring up pretty intently at Vladdy, maybe checking the pulse.
yeah. I also don't think Kuhn is going to use all his time banks here to make this decision. I do actually think if he starts using a lot of time banks, he ends up folding. But I think 1 or 2 time banks only in a call.
My apologies.
It's a big pot for Kuhn, though, obviously. I mean, we can see if he calls this, he's down to only $500,000 and pretty short. But if he wins, he's vaults right into basically one of the chip leaders.
Oh, and he does find the call.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It looks like Cale Burns has joined the party at our other feature table. He's got himself ace-queen suited here against Vladdy, who hopped into this one with 8-4 suited. Spadeless texture.
yeah. Early in the tournament, Cale, early on day 1, was one of the chip leaders. Fell off relatively quickly, but appears that he's managed to hold on to a stack, and now playing up close, just 6 off the bubble. Still alive, 21st out of 23rd in chips, but I mean, still a healthy 20.
Daher hovering around the 10 big blind range. Certainly would be more likely to find his way into an all-in pre, but here we have Vladdy value betting the pair of 4s on the turn. Now a 4th heart rolling off, though, and how's he going to react to that? There's certainly a decent chunk of Burns' calling range. Would include a heart. Shut it down or go for it? The answer is the former, as Vladdy checks it.
I mean, Kale's gonna have to consider bluffing this. I mean, just ace high, no pair. Doesn't have a ton of showdown here. A little bit, but definitely one of the weakest hands he gets here with.
In contrast, Kale enjoying what seemed to be some of the strongest hands in the building. Gal's putting in work.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Burns into 300, fires 160,000.
Oh.
Did that get called? Oh no, an all in. A check jam from Vlad. It happened so quickly.
They were all red. But,
What?
I mean, that wasn't.
I had the best hand, no, with 4. My 4 best hand, no?
You have the best hand.
Yeah, I know.
You didn't know.
It's close, because maybe you have something, I don't know, some small heart.
Min raise open from overall chip leader.
So crazy though.
Fedor holes with the
Wow.
suited connector.
Yeah.
It's like
at Vladdy.
ridiculous.
Vladdy so far has just loved
Yeah,
these
it's like I'd be afraid to
10
hit
more
on it.
suited.
tens in the
3
small blind.
scoops to 345K. A 10's going to go into the muck from KT's big.
Yeah.
This is a big three. So when he did it versus Kuhn with the 10-5 of spades, it was
Better be a
50K,
strong
135
sapphire
for the
case
like
around that
less
thing.
than
Imagine
3x.
cracking that.
But
Oh
now
my
he's
God.
going huge.
That's pretty baller. That we're
And
talking about his
Fedor
watch, the roulette one,
calls.
and he's like, "Oh, really? You want to talk about a game watch?" He
Wow.
just pulls out one, never worn it before, covered in diamonds and custom made with a
Fedor
logo.
understands that by calling here, having position, having the big stack,
It's another level over.
Yeah.
he can afford
And I was trying
to
my
get into a confrontation and look at this texture. Flush draw and open ender for Vladdy. It is a
You know,
gut
the
shot
first,
and bottom pair for
multi-million-dollar
Fedor.
hand I ever played. Paul was at the table, and he asked me if I would like to sweat the river, and I sweated it wrong, and him and 2 other people told
Well,
me
I
I was
mean,
sweating my card.
if you're
wrong.
going to
But I
call
was just like, I'm just gonna do
340K
it.
pre-flop here, I mean, I guess you
I'm
call
sweating
another
here.
175.
Yeah, it's a
Two
very
bottom pair.
downsized follow-through here from Vladdy. I actually think he wants to keep Fedor in there, but at the end of the day, he has 10 high, and it has not improved on the turn.
Right? Because then you think, okay,
Does he
well,
have
now
a
it's
double
like a
barrel?
skill,
I
because
mean,
then you could be
if
like,
you're going to bet that on the flop, I kind of think on this turn you
I'm
just like
boring,
go
huh?
all in basically.
No, he's not
That's the
boring.
idea.
You're not
Get a little bit more in the pot before you get your opponent to fold their weak hands. Kind of what I think. I mean, given his flop bet, I really don't like a check here with a 1 stack to pot ratio.
Down and then you bet towards the end.
Yeah.
Like blackjack.
Yeah.
their seat here. Over there, behind this, behind the
425K.
In white and pink.
And Fedor keenly aware of the fact that Vladdy isn't necessarily just going to shut down
come out here.
on the end.
Yeah, and by keeping these bets small, he's kind of kept Fedor in this pot where I think maybe had he just gone all in some different spots.
And Fedor makes the queen high straight on the end as Vladdy has paired the 10 in a 2 million chip pot. And he is checking.
I mean, I kind of think if he went all in on the turn, don't think Fedor calls. Maybe if he had pot at the flop or... But he kept Fedor in this pot with his sizings and didn't get there. And now is going to get the bad news.
$500,000. Okay. Oh, and a check jam from Vladdy here.
How much is it?
Putting max pressure on this 8. We saw this move once before.
But this is 300,000 more into a pot of 3.6 million.
Yeah. And it just was never going to be enough. And with that,
Queen Jack 9, 3,
The incredibly improbable outcome that you alluded to, Rast. Vladdy Chalov is the bubble boy. The one-time overwhelming chip leader
A9, flag
showers
rolls 10
himself
points. We're gonna lose
with a
Vladdy.
check jam